What is a common myth about your country that is 100% false but many people still believe in it? Romania. Many people believe we have vampires, but in my 700 years of living here, I haven't even seen one. I asked my mates back in the castle and they also haven't seen any, and they've been around for longer than I. Dracula is often depicted as living in Transylvania. While he was imprisoned there for a while, he was actually the ruler of Wallachia, another historic Romanian province that neighbors Transylvania to the south. As for the rumor that we are vampires, I neither confirm nor deny this statement. Edit. Thanks for the awards, mortals, I mean friends. Kenyans are all long-distance runners, live in huts, speak no English, and have pet wild animals. So here goes. The long-distance guys are mainly from one community/tribe called the Kalenjin. That's about 15% of the population. Next, Kenya is still a developing nation with a lot of poverty, but there's a lot of modern architecture. Next, the country is rated 18 out of 100 on the English Proficiency Index. And lastly, you can apply for a special, and rarely granted, permit for your bobcat named Babu. But keeping wildlife is not at all common, and the Kenya Wildlife Service will conduct regular visits to ensure Babu isn't being kept in Auschwitz-like conditions. All Germans have some secret knowledge of the Second World War II they would love to share. I always found that interesting when I lived in London, and as English people 40+ would ask me of some first-hand experience of the war. Keep in mind that not even my parents were born at that time. In fact, we know the same as you do from history classes, etc. That everyone still harbors resentment against Americans, or the French, or the Japanese, or, you get the point. I've actually never met anyone here who held such grudges. It's pretty inspiring, actually. Probably I can learn a lot from that. That Brazil is a huge tropical jungle in which people speak Spanish. Brazil actually has several major cities and different environments. Sao Paulo, for instance, is a huge sprawling metropolis with as many inhabitants as New York and Los Angeles combined. In some southern areas of the country it actually snows, and we were a Portuguese colony, so we speak Portuguese. Not exactly myth, but decent amount of people still think that Czechoslovakia still exists. We split apart in 1993. We are Czech Republic. No Czechoslovakia anymore. Edit. To make it clear, Czech Republic, shortcut Czechia, and Slovakia are two different countries. Edit 2. FYI, Slovakia and Slovenia are also two different countries. They are not even neighboring countries. Edit 3. Wow, this grew really big. Thank you all for your comments and for those awards. Sorry that I am not commenting anymore, but I can't keep with this pace. People think British people are either stiff upper lip public school boys or cockney bricklayers, football hooligans. There's a whole world of people in between. Some of us don't even like football. One of my friends doesn't even drink tea. Not sure why she's my friend, to be honest. That it's socially acceptable to call people cunts. You'll get away with it with your mates, but you'll probably get your head stomped if you called the wrong person it in public. Also, it's possible to be arrested for using it in public in certain circumstances. French here, that we don't shower. We do, guys. We're not in the 1700s anymore. Also that French women don't shave. I mean, there are some that don't. But this has more to do with their personal choices and a general trend of having more and more women that don't shave around the world than their Frenchness. We do eat frogs and snails though. When I started dating my now wife, who is from Oklahoma, she informed me that her friends and family were convinced that Canadians didn't have ice or toilet paper. They wanted her to ask me about it, apparently because they were confused by that. I had never laughed so hard. I mean, it's Canada. We are 70% of the year basically. Woo, Singaporean here. No, we're not part of China. We're not even in the same region. Yes, the population is 60% ethnically Chinese, but that doesn't make us part of China any more than it makes the USA part of Britain. As a matter of fact, there's a problem of racism against mainlander Chinese, since locals tend not to see them as true Singaporeans. This is exacerbated by the fact that lots of mainlander Chinese are pretty pro-China, human rights violations and all, while the local Chinese don't like China and the CCP very much. We're closer culturally to Taiwan. It is not illegal to be naked inside your own home. You can be stalkers while bathing or fucking if you like. You just cannot use "I am in my own home" as a defense against streaking or showing everyone your rude bits. 90% of the population live in government apartments and we don't need pervs flashing their dongs through their windows. Incidentally, this law came about because pervs were flashing their dongs through their windows. Singapore used to have a big flasher problem back in the 80s, times were weird. It is not illegal to chew gum, only to import, sell it or bring it onto the trains. This is because dickheads used to literally gum up the train doors and make everyone late for work. The government put up with it for a few months and then said fuck it, no more gum for everyone. This is why we can't have nice things. The government doesn't fine people for every little offense anymore. They used to, but enforcement has become lenient in the last 2 decades, sadly. This means there's a ton of litter where the streets used to be pristine. Still, you might not want to litter or spit right in front of a police officer. The myth is that everyone here is always drunk on vodka and people all ride bears, play on balalaikas and dance the kazakok, and that we're either drunk or mad. While there is a problem with alcoholism, a lot of people don't drink, especially not vodka. Funnily enough, bears do appear, but very rarely, and the people that try bears or have them as pets, they're considered unusual by other Russians. Balalaika's dead. I know one person that plays it and that's it. We dance the kazakok only ironically at this point lol. We're not always mad, we're just people with emotions skeptical. But ushankas are great and warm, so people do wear them. Not all of them though, also we're not all super people. Update, thanks for the awards everyone, yeah all are a funny bunch. Also found out I'm not only Scottish but also apparently Irish too. Yay, we're all ginger alcoholics who hate the English and run amongst the hills in our skirts screaming freedom. Australian here, glad you asked. Everyone thinks it's as dangerous as fuck. That spiders, drop bears, snakes, feral cats and dogs will rip a fucking heart out every time you step out the door. The truth is that unless you act like a half-lit, poke said snake, spider with your finger then you'll be fine. Battle echidna, dervish spiders, saltwater crocodiles and drop bears don't live in suburbia. You need to go into the bush to even see a lizard, which usually promptly fucks off the moment a stone-footed Oompa Loompa waddles past. Edit, people save your money, enjoy the show, but this isn't about all of the US, but the idea that just because someone has the southern US accent, country, rural, Appalachian, etc., they are automatically not the brightest. A lot of people, even some in the US, especially in the New England area, seem to have this idea. It's honestly just kinda classist, and one of the reasons a lot of people in these rural areas are very skeptic of people from the north cities. I get that it comes down to grammar and stuff, but it's a dialect, just like a Ave or Ulster Irish, and it's just the way we are raised to talk. It has nothing to do with intelligence, and it's sad, because I know a few people who went to school up north, and they changed their accent completely when they moved to try and blend in more. People often expect Southerners to be simple farmers who don't have much of an education. I literally read online once that it was specifically about in the US, but I'm sure it happens in other places too. The general American accent will be pretty much the only one because of movies/TV/social media. It's kinda sad, and makes me want to preserve the accent. Many still believe chewing gum is banned in Singapore, and if you are caught with it, you would get caned. The reality is that in the 1990s it used to be completely banned, but today, only selling it is illegal. Dental chewing gum is also allowed in Singapore. Only 90% false. Switzerland is one of the most weaponized countries but still has a very low murder rate. I have heard this a lot from Americans trying to argue that weapons are not the problem. Fact is, because of our military system, a lot of people do have a gun, machine gun at home, but they generally do not have ammunition at home. All weapons are registered and gun owners must have intensive training before they take a weapon home. So yes, we do have a lot of weapons but not much ammunition. Therefore we are not that weaponized. Germany. WW2 is a huge taboo topic and everybody just pretends it didn't happen. I've had multiple US exchange students here in Germany ask me if I knew about Hitler and the Nazi regime, and apparently they expected me to go, huh? What? No. Please educate me about my own history. Apparently this stems from a misunderstanding about not being allowed to do a Nazi salute in Germany, which has a completely different reason. Edit typo. I've never seen a mime in Paris. Edit to all the people who say they've seen a mime in Montmartre or Champ de Mars or Champs-Élysées that one time they were in Paris. Yes, if you go to the most touristic place in the city, obviously you might see some of them trying to rip off tourists. What I meant is that when you actually live there, they aren't a normal thing to come across. That everyone in Japan works crazy hours and never has enough time or energy for things they want to do. People on average work longer hours than mainland Europe, sure, but work less hours than the US, so that's BS. I feel like Russia is commonly hated, especially lately. Not that there are no reasons for that, huh? I have a strong feeling that people simultaneously think that Russia is a dangerous shithole and that we all here love and support Putin and his government. Both of those things are not true. Well, some parts of Russia are poor, and I myself have friends from different places who have only 10-15k rubles monthly to spend, $150-200. At the same time, even though I am pretty privileged being born and raised in Moscow in an upper-middle-class family, have a flat that I don't need to pay rent, loan for. My husband's family got it for free during the USSR period. My very first job ever pays me enough money to spend on anything I want except for big purchases like a new iPhone or a car. I have a degree, not for free but for reasonable money, $2,500 a year, and last year our free healthcare literally saved my life. Yeah, I know, taxes, I pay them, and BD. Small quality of life things we have. I haven't used any cash in years. Everything can be paid via the Apple/Google/Samsung Pay. Even in the smallest shops, our delivery services are on point. I can order any groceries I want via an app and they will deliver them in 7-15 minutes. Moscow is covered in car-sharing cars, and even though we don't have our own car, we don't need it because parking prices are high and car-sharing cars are literally on every corner here. Another cool thing I forgot to mention, we have our own tech ecosystem made by Yandex that almost everybody here uses. It consists of a virtual assistant with a home pod, one subscription for music, movies and other bonuses, food delivery service, taxi aggregator, car-sharing service, etc., and everything with a cashback. They also develop autopilot electric cars. About Putin, none of my friends support him. Most of the young people here want to emigrate to not have anything in common with him. Most important part, Russia is full of culture, literature, language, music, nature, food, people, their stories. It's all amazing and deserves some love. that all guns are banned here in the UK. You can actually own a surprising range of firearms and shotguns. It is just handguns that are subject to a tight set of restrictions. This was due to public demand after a horrendous mass shooting in the 90s where a lunatic killed 15 toddlers. I live in South Africa. Many people still believe we have wild animals roaming around and shit, and people living in huts etc. That does happen in certain parts of Africa, but I live in the suburbs of Cape Town. We have better internet than some first world countries. That we all have the same accent, sound the same way when we speak. People watch a lot of British TV and assume we all speak in RP, or like Londoners, when there's a pretty broad range of accents here in the UK, like Northern or Midlands accents are wildly different to ones in the South, and don't even get me started on Welsh, Scottish or Irish accents. We aren't all overweight people wearing Old Navy American flag t-shirts and khaki shorts, only, like, 60% of us. Edit, this is kind of a joke. I don't know what the real percentage is, though come to think of it, there are people in my family, who I love, that rock this exact look. Hell, I haven't owned a flag t-shirt, but I'm a bit overweight and I think I still have a pair of khaki cargo shorts at the bottom of some drawer somewhere, so, never mind, I don't take it back. The whole world seems to think that Germany is a place run by very smart, efficient and hard-working people. Truth is that there are little to no relevant innovations coming from here. We have missed the jump into the new era because of stubborn and conservative structures and ideas. The once high-quality label made in Germany isn't worth a damn anymore either. Might still be better than some cheap-ass shit from some other countries, but it still is built to break. That Japan is incredibly efficient and futuristic. Major LOL, so futuristic here that I can't even pay my bills online, and if I want to set up an auto-paying bill I have to request a form by mail, fill it out, and then take it to the bank in person, not to mention I have to send in all my monthly reports by fax. That the Netherlands is called Holland, but Holland is only a piece of the Netherlands, and that we are the inventor of the tulip, it was Turkey. Edit THX for all the support. Edit 2: Turkey didn't invent the flower. Edit 3: THX everybody for 1K. It is the first time in my life that I got 1K on one of my internet posts. Actually, it is first time that I got 10 likes, upvotes on any of them. I live in Norway. There is supposed to be a misconception that everyone native to Norway is tall and blonde. My ancestors have lived here for ages and 90% of my family look like dark-haired hobbits. I have also heard that many people think the Norwegian language can be traced directly back to the Norse language. There are bound to be relations between them, but it is mostly a mix between Danish and German, and during the last 30 years more and more English have found its way into it. Edit, my limited English skills and inability to choose the right word strikes again. What I really tried to say above is that some people seem to think that Old Norse and contemporary Norwegian is still very similar to each other. I am by no means an expert on this, but to my limited knowledge they are very different. There are still many traces back to Norse, but it is both written and spoken very differently. I have tried to read Norse a few times and I don't really understand too much. Northern lights are a very rare sight in most parts of the country. I live relatively far south and have seen them here once, but they usually only appear in the north during winter. Our country isn't very big, but it is quite long. The furthermost north point of the country is over 1,900 kilometers/1,200 miles away from my house. If I were to travel the same distance southwards I would reach Trento in northern Italy. There also seems to be a belief that Norway used to be ruled by fierce Viking warriors and that it was a barbaric lawless society. Most people were not Vikings. Viking was basically a description of a person who went out on the sea. Raids happened, and there are several detailed accounts of pillaging and plundering, but often they would be vastly outnumbered by the locals. Many went out as traders instead. The majority of the people stayed home, and the society wasn't as barbaric and lawless as it is easy to think. If I am not mistaken, they were one of the first cultures in Europe to have a national law system, and their society were surprisingly equal between men and women. Women held important positions of power and made many big decisions both in the home and in society. There is also very little physical evidence left that would suggest that there were a lot of warriors in those days. So far, the archaeologists have only found one helmet and a handful of weapons, but they have found loads of combs, tweezers and other beauty products that the men supposedly carried with them most of the time. They were very concerned with their looks. Norway as a sovereign country is not old. We have been owned by both Denmark and Sweden and have only been on our own since 1905. I have also been told that people think Norway is the capital of Sweden, and that there are polar bears in the city streets, but I doubt that anyone actually believe this. That President Juan Velasco Alvarado took the lands from the rich and screwed Peru by giving them to the peasants. In reality, he gave freedom and rights to the peasants who were the slaves of the rich owners of giant haciendas. The movie La Revolución by La Tierra explains it clearly, something that the wealthy side still does not want to recognize. One of the many reasons there is still inequality of rights and opportunities in my country.